Hey, Dan Meyer here, and I'm back once again with more for you on how to navigate the VA landscape by mastering narratives. So, narratives are basically stories, and the narrative is where you help your client as a virtual assistant to tell their story. To tell their story about why they got into business, what it is they do, what makes them unique, what makes them stand out from the competition, what is it about their offer that's special. This has to be done in a way that's a narrative, right? A story. It can't just be like, here's a bunch of facts. You have to weave them together, craft them into a story like a book or a movie. So I recorded this webinar. It was really a training that I did for a couple of virtual assistants on my team, as well as some other VAs that are kind of in our fan group. And I wanted to share it with you. So basically, we'll talk about how to understand business narratives, craft effective narratives, manage and share narratives, and measuring success to make sure that we can adapt from narrative to narrative. So it's going to be in two parts. I'm going to drop part one right now, so get ready for how to master client narratives. And then part two will drop in a couple days. And I'll be back at the end of this clips to talk to you some more. Hey, Dan Meyer here, and thank you for joining us this evening for talking about how to use narratives, especially the data that's in social media, to help craft narratives that will help clients be more successful with telling their story, establishing their brand, and building their business using stories and storytelling on social media. So my background is I've been in the Philippines for going on 13 years, doing a combination of training and outsourcing work. I have a virtual call center. I have a VA agency. I've done training at different schools. I've actually taught a course at De La Salle in the past. So I know a lot about connecting Filipino talent with American businesses. And one of the most in-demand things right now in 2024, as we go into 2025, one of the most in-demand skills is narratives, mastering client narratives. So basically, you want to be able to help the client just tell their story in a way that's engaging. There's so much content. It's overwhelming, right? So we create content every day and it keeps getting pushed out there. A few years ago, having a good blog post was good enough. A few years ago, it was good enough to have a couple of really cool visuals that were just simple Canva stories. Now it's got to be video, and it's got to be fun, short, quick, attention-grabbing video. You have literally like 3 to 4 seconds of someone's time to capture their interest. And if you don't, they're going to swipe left or scroll down on the next thing in their newsfeed. So basically, I want to give you my insight based on what we've been doing with our clients at Sonic VA and what's been working in our business to master client narratives. And there's 4 parts to it. So we'll talk about each one. There's understanding business narratives, there's crafting effective narratives, there's managing and sharing these narratives, and there's measuring success and adapting. So in each of these situations, I'll give you some examples of what works with some of our clients. I'll give you kind of an overview of what this should mean to you as a virtual assistant. But if you're working with people's social media, if you're helping them tell their story, and they need to tell their story to sell their business, sell their product, to be able to offer something, whether they be a business coach or they're selling a healthcare supplement or they're into some kind of retail business or e-commerce business. They need to be able to tell their story. And most of them, 90+% of them, are going to do it by talking into the camera. They're going to be experts in whatever it is they do, and they're going to share that expertise on why what they offer, what their solution to people's problems is the right one. And VAs that can help them achieve their goals by giving them better narratives are the ones that are going to be most successful. Anybody can post to social media. Doesn't take a lot of training, a lot of knowledge to make some posts in Canva, some templates, find some quotes, put them on social media, call it a day. Well, that doesn't work anymore. It hasn't worked for the last year or so. It's definitely not going to work in the future. The future is not templates and carousels and stuff that's easy to do. Unfortunately, the future is harder. The future is finding the right video that will go viral. And there's some science to it, but a lot of it's art. People, they like it, they like it. And so you got to be able to tap into that. So you want to be able to use the analytics, the data within the social media to know what's working, not just for your clients, but for other clients like your clients, their competition, or people they collaborate with. It's no longer where you can just justify your worth as a VA by saying, well, we added 1,000 followers or your post got 100 likes. Those don't matter as much as did anybody buy from the client? Did anybody sign up? Did anybody join? Did anybody make a purchase? Those are what really matters. And the ones that are driving traffic to those calls to action are the ones that people really want to look for. And they need VAs that can help them with that. That's why we're doing this talk tonight. Basically, what I want to do first is to talk about what is a business narrative. So when you think of the word narration or narrative, you think of stories, right? A business narrative is a story that a company tells about its mission, visions, and values. So on any website, traditional companies will have their mission statement, their vision, and their values, especially bigger, more corporate type websites. Smaller businesses don't tend to do that, but they actually have to say it in some way. Why is the client in business? What is it that made them decide to be an entrepreneur? What are they trying to bring to the world that will make the world a better place? What are they offering people? And then why do they do it from a personal value standpoint? Does it make them more satisfied? Do they have a better sense of their legacy? Are they able to just feel good about themselves because they're helping more people? Being able to talk about their mission, their vision, their values is important. When you're a professional speaker like I am, you're taught by a lot of different experts how to tell your story on camera or on stage. And the idea is that you want people to want to like and trust you really quickly to pay attention to you. So, for example, I'm trying to build trust and be likable for people right now. So, whether you're watching this right now live or you're going to watch it on my YouTube channel, if by now I haven't gained your trust, if you don't find me likable, you're probably not going to finish the presentation. That's fine because not everyone matches with everyone. But as a general rule, you want to make sure that your narration speaks to your core audience. So narratives help businesses connect emotionally with their target audience. We live in an emotion-driven world. We have more information at our fingertips than we've ever had before. We have AI doing more things than we ever thought possible. Yet at our core, we're still emotionally driven decision makers. And this really means we have to have that connection with our core audience. Now, I have two businesses. I have a virtual assisting business and I have an outsourcing business. The virtual assisting business, I have two audiences. I have American small business owners who are my clients, and I have my virtual assistants, both current staff and future staff. So I need to be able to speak to both of those audiences in a way that makes them feel an emotion of trust and of likability. That's why I do these webinars, and that's why I record videos on YouTube. I don't monetize it necessarily directly, but I do it indirectly by building up a pool of virtual assistants that I can draw from when I have a new client with a new requirement. And I put it out there, and every once in a while, I'll get somebody who will say, hey, I found your YouTube and I want to work with you. Can you help me find a VA? Or I saw your video and I want to be a virtual assistant with Sonic VA. What do I have to do? So I create this content to be able to hit my target market, which is you. And VAs play a critical role in shaping communicating these stories because you're the one posting stuff and you're the one spending the most time on social media. When a client hires a VA to do their social media, it's almost always because the client's too busy to consistently manage their own social media. Social media requires daily, if not hourly, touch. You have to know when the best times to post are. You have to know what's working. You have to pay attention to the data to be really successful. But the bottom line is you kind of want to get a pulse, a feel. You want to know what's going on in the business. And a VA working every day on someone's Facebook page is probably actually going to have a better sense of that pulse than the client who only can go on their social media when they have free time. So that's how important you are. I also talk about why narratives matter for businesses, right? So businesses have to market. They have to do video, they have to do advertising, they have to do a lot of different things. But one thing a lot of businesses fail at doing, especially smaller businesses, is understanding the power of their story. Strong narratives increase customer trust and loyalty. Narratives differentiate a brand in a competitive market. So you have to build trust and loyalty, and you want to be competitive. So if your client is a small business owner who owns a roofing company, they fix roofs, right? And they need somebody to manage their social media, to manage their calendar, to send out DMs, to do emails, to kind of like manage their lead generation, a variety of stuff like that. And they want to make sure that they're building trust and likability and loyalty. So you're going to have to share stories about success stories, testimonials from former clients, pictures of before and after, before the roof was fixed and after the roof was fixed. You're going to have to be able to help them build a narrative that's different than their competition. They can't do everything exactly the same way everybody else does. It's going to be something about them that's unique. A compelling story can turn casual visitors into paying clients. And that's why we look at narration and narratives as more important than just posting. Anyone can post, anyone can make a video, anyone can do very simple things, but very few people, virtual assistants and small business owners, are successful at storytelling. If you look at the number of small businesses in the United States, it's like 6 million or something like that. So, and every 2, 3 years, they go out of business. The average small business lasts a couple years. The ones that survive, the ones that make it past that first, second, third year into the fourth, fifth, and plus, they're good at telling their story. I promise you, there's no business that's a good business that's not good at telling their story. Think about here in the Philippines. What's the most powerful narrative in the Philippines? If you look at retail, business, marketing, for me, it's simple. There is no more powerful marketing symbol in the Philippines than the Jolly Bee. All right, that bee, everyone knows. And I guarantee you, I'm sure all of you and anybody who ever watches this video who's lived in the Philippines will say yes if I ask this one simple question. Have you ever attended a birthday party at a Jollibee? It's like 100% guarantee. Maybe there's like 3 people in the Philippines that haven't been to a Jollibee birthday party, but anyone watching my videos, you've probably been to at least one if you haven't had one for yourself or for your own kids. My point is, it's compelling. The Jollibee is fun, family orientated. Kids love that thing, right? They go up to it and they hug it. People take selfies with it. Jollibee's all over the world. You find a group of Filipinos around the world, you're probably going to find a Jollibee once there's enough of them there. My point is, it's compelling. So, what is your client's Jollibee? What is your client's compelling story? With Sonic VA, we're all about connecting talent. Our logo is about taking talent from the Philippines and connecting with them with clients in the US. That's why we have the globe and the plane circling the globe. Our branding colors are the colors of the globe, right? Green and blue. I talk a lot about how important it is to develop trust and likability with your clients and for your clients. These are things that I do in other videos and other ways we talk. So basically, when you're creating a narrative, you want to think about what's compelling about your client and you want to help them bring that to the forefront. The role of VAs in business storytelling. VAs can help research and craft stories aligned with client goals. So like I said, if a client says they want to add 1,000 new followers, and that should translate to 100 new customers, and those 100 new customers, 10 of them should be customers who stick around for more than 2 months, and they should on the average, spend $1,000. So they know kind of the metrics they need. So you need to figure out where are they? And what kind of stories they're watching. You're going to have to do research, look at competition, look at other things in the niche that that client's in to help figure out what's working, right? So if you're working for a client who has an accounting business and they want a VA to help them manage their accounting, scheduling, social media stuff, maybe help them with some really basic accounting stuff, you're going to have to understand what their competition is like. Who are they competing with in the geographic location they're located? Are they online or is it pretty much all retail business? If it's a physical business, if it's not online, why not? And there's all these questions you can ask and do research to help them craft a narrative. VAs can manage content creation, distribution of narratives. This is the key part. Now, this is the first thing people started outsourcing to VAs in the Philippines was social media. It's been going on for almost 20 years now. And it's gotten to the point now where people think I need a VA. I'll hire a VA from the Philippines because they speak American style English and they get the American business culture. And they're probably going to be pretty good at social media because everyone knows the Philippines is the most social media driven country in the world, which is a fact, believe it or not. I believe it. VAs can manage content creation distribution easily. But the hard parts with narratives. The narrative is where you do more than just post, where you're posting for a purpose. VAs can monitor audience feedback and refine the narrative. VAs can monitor audience feedback and refine the narrative, right? So you need to be able to do that as well. The next thing I want to talk about really is an example of storytelling. So I have this blog here by this guy named Brent Dykes. Now, my primary business is actually I'm a big data analytics data storytelling expert. I work with companies, do corporate training to train them how to get more sense out of their numbers, to how to like work with all the data in the business. And my secondary business is the virtual assisting business. And they kind of merge when it comes to storytelling because this guy, Brent here, who wrote this really cool book called Effective Data Storytelling. I'm going to show you real quick this piece down on his blog, which I found to be the perfect thing we should talk about. There's really three types of stories. There's a very simple story, the three act structure, right? The setup, which is the beginning, the middle, which is the confrontation, and the end, which is the climax. So you think of any business owner, they're going through constant challenges. How do I grow my business? Which products to offer? Where do I market? Who's my target customer? Any of those things, you have like a setup, like we're understanding, we're learning, we're trying to like share our knowledge. And then it gets to a point where we're able to make a decision. And there's a result of that decision. That three-act structure can be used to figure out how to do posting in social media. Like, what are the stories that are good at trying to make your audience aware of what your client does? And what are the stories and video content that will help your clients figure out, do they want to purchase or join or sign up with the client? And then finally, how do they do it? What are the videos and things you can create, the stories you can do to show exactly what happens when they sign up? Success stories, testimonials, referrals, things that show the positive, right? So that three acts, you should be thinking about how to not just tell a story of who the client is or what they offer, but kind of how you got there, why they decided to go into the business, what it is that motivates them, what makes them different than everybody else. Then you have the offer, and then you have the follow-up and the feedback and the thing that happens after. So most VAs and most clients focus mainly on just the middle one, the actual what's happening now, what are we selling? They're not talking about how they got there and what it's doing for other people. Then there's a more complex storytelling methodology called Freitag's pyramid, right? So long story short, you can Google this later. The idea is that it takes that kind of rising action, climax, and resolution and expands it outwards a little bit. It's based on Greek tragedies, right? So we, as a kid, we probably all had to read in school Odysseys, Homer's stuff, the Odyssey, the Iliad, what is it, the Iliad, the Odyssey. We had to read like things about Hercules and Zeus, and probably read things that were plays like Oedipus or Shakespeare stuff as well falls into this model. Like Shakespeare, basically, a lot of his plays are based in this model. And it's like, again, it's the basic stuff where you introduce, where you talk about the struggle, and then when you talk about the results. But you can add more in, like the introduction, exposition of why we're doing it, the rising action, kind of like the journey that took you there. And then you get to the climax. The falling action is what's happening as you're becoming successful. And then what does success look like? That's the resolution, right? So this pyramid that he talks about here, for data storytelling, but for storytelling in general, is something that we can look at. And another example is Hero's Journey. It's very more complex, but if you've watched any like movie about the one person who becomes the savior, the most classic example is probably Star Wars. Luke Skywalker is the one chosen to bring balance to the Force, right? Now, the prequels make it more messy with Anakin, and then the sequels make it as they're actually Rey. But anyway, the point being, the original Star Wars trilogy was a great example of the hero's journey, where he starts out with nothing and learns who he is and goes through adventures, helping people and becoming stronger, and then having a lot of bad things happen to him, and then he's able to overcome them and be successful, and the happy ending happens, right? So any sci-fi movie where there's that hero story, like Matrix, a lot of video games have this, like if you've ever played Halo, Master Chief. So the idea of a hero's journey. So your client is a hero. They're trying to do something to make the world a better place. How do you use this kind of methodology to help them? Now, I could go on this for a whole hour, but to keep us on task, I just want you to think about storytelling, because I can guarantee you, no one's telling VAs you have to help your clients become storytellers to be successful. And that's the key. You all will get clients that will come and go, and clients will hire VAs that will come and go. But the ones that stick, the clients that find the VAs that can help them figure out how to share the narrative, are the ones that are going to be really successful for a long period of time. I look at my core team, right? So most of my VAs have been with me for a while. I have some VAs that have been with me for over 10 years. We're actually doing a 10-year celebration, anniversary celebration for like 8 of my employees next month because they've been with me for more than 10 years. That's crazy. That doesn't happen in virtual assisting very often. But it's because I find people that can help me in some way or another tell our story. So that's section one. Let's jump on to section two, crafting effective narratives, right? So here, the elements of a great narrative. So now we're going to get into nuts and bolts, right? So I want to come back out real quick and say, um, we talked about kind of what is a story. Now we're going to talk about more of the nuts and bolts, how to create a story. Now we can all write a story, and we create stories every day in our social media. If we have any kind of narrative to our IG or our TikTok, where we're doing kind of similar things, that's a narrative. When we're trying to share our tips on best place to eat, and over a period of time, we drop multiple, videos of us at different restaurants saying, "This is why my favorite place to get adobo is." Whatever it is, we can create narratives. It's not always just random. We do things because we're trying to tell our story. Now, that's really what I want to get to in this section here. Clear and consistent messaging is the backbone of a narrative. It has to be clear and consistent. You can't just randomly talk about anything. You have to have a strategy behind what it is that you're trying to do. Which product are you focusing on? I had two different messages that we were sending out to clients. I'm doing a training, an analytics training that's publicly available. People can pay 10,000 pesos to come to a day's training for data analysts, really corporate focused. And then I do this webinar, right? I'm doing this webinar tonight and next week and the week after. And I have my VAs sending the messages out on social media, talking about these two offers, and we create narratives around it. Basically, are you a new VA and you want to be able to level up? Do you need skills to differentiate yourself from all the other people applying for the same job? Well, that's what we're trying to get you to understand. So when we send you messages, we're trying to appeal to that sense that I need to level up. I can do good on my own, but I'll do better if I'm part of a group. So that's what we're trying to do here, right? So we're trying to help you figure out what is your hero's journey. So when you work with a client, you can help them on their hero's journey. So what's your beginning? Where did you start? What's your middle? Where are you at now? And where are you going? What's the end? What's your end goal? It could be monetary. It could be lifestyle. It could be any number of things, but there's a story, a B, and a C. So think about that and how to make that story clear and consistent. And then if it's authentic, it will resonate. People like watching things from people they like. Now, occasionally we'll follow people we don't like, but mainly because there's something weird about them that we enjoy watching. 90% of the people that you follow in your news feed is because you like them. They're your friends, they're family, they're people they're celebrities that you admire, they're brands that you like, and you're following these things because they make you feel good. They're like the Jollibee of your life, right? So, what is the Jollibees in your news feed? What are the things whenever you see someone post something? Who are those people that make you go, "Oh, that was cool"? It could be something inspiring. It could be something new. It could be something different. It could be something heartwarming and familiar. But again, you want to know what that is for your client and how you move that forward. The next thing is identifying your client's unique story. This is a problem for a lot of clients. I have at any given time 30 plus clients, and we go through a fair amount of clients. I have my clients I've had for years, and I have my clients that every couple months I recycle them. Some come back, some don't. But at any given time, I have some clients who are trying to help them figure out their story, and they're the hard ones because they don't know. And so if a VA is matched with a client who doesn't know the story, then the VA, to be successful, has to help them figure it out. And this is where it's an odd dynamic for a lot of Filipino VAs, is sometimes you know more about social media than the older, more mature, more have the American client that you assume has more money than you. You assume that they're successful. They may not be, and they may have no clue about social media. A lot of people that are my age, in their 50s in the United States, they're not good at social media. They don't get it. They use Facebook because they got used to it. They can't figure out IG. They don't understand TikTok. They don't understand YouTube. They need a millennial or even a Gen Z to tell them how to do it. So they're looking for someone to give them some insight, and that could be you. So help clients identify what makes them stand out. What's their unique value proposition? If they've been coached or they're experienced, they will know this. If they don't, they will say they don't. And you want to make sure you understand that, because if you want to work with a client who's going to be much easier to work with, they know their story. They know what they offer. They know the market, the right price for it. They know who their market is. They've been doing it for a while and they're successful already. They just want a VA to free up some of their time. But most people looking for a VA aren't like that. Most people looking for a VA are the ones trying to figure it out, and they're just too busy to do it on their own. So they want to find a virtual assistant to delegate things to delegate social media, video creation, graphic design, lead generation, delegate things that keep them too busy to really figure out who they are. They want to focus on their story, but they can't do it until they have a story. And if you're going to work with them, you have to help them find their story. So you want to make sure you help them align their narrative with their brand's mission and audience values. So if a client tells you what their mission is and their audience is, then great. If they don't, then ask them, don't be shy. Ask them, well, how can we find out who your audience is? Where do you think they are? The first thing I ask the client, I have a new client lead. We're having a conversation, discovery call. And I asked the client, so who's your target market and where do you think they're at? How are you connecting with them? If they tell me their clients, they're primarily doing skincare for American women that are 30 plus, then they should be on IG. If they're trying to appeal to a younger demographic and they're trying to sell some kind of lifestyle supplement or experiential thing, they should be on TikTok. If they're an expert, a coach, somebody who knows how to give a course on 10 ways to have a healthier life, they should be recorded on YouTube, right? So knowing where they should be at is part of what I do when I bring on aboard a new client. But you have to be able to do the same as well. You have to kind of have a guess because again, if they don't know, they're asking you because they don't know. They're not coming to you saying like, I know what I want and I need you to help me. They're coming to you because they probably know they need to do something different with what they're doing because what they're doing is not working. So in those situations, when you're in front of those kind of clients, when you're having those kind of interviews with a client, think about how you can help them tell their story. Tools for crafting narrative. So this is where we've all been doing this and it really benefits us. Well, you know how to use Canva. You probably know how to use CapCut. Those are the primary tools, right? Use templates and frameworks like storyboards to organize ideas. We need to have ideas that have a narrative, right? A story. Think about storyboards, right? So what does it look like? You can sketch it out. You can use Canva. You can do other things. You can do content creation tools. You can incorporate visuals, graphics, and so forth to enhance storytelling. But the idea is that all the things that you're doing as a VA to create content, the editing, the graphics, all that should be to further the client's narrative. I'll give you an example. This is one of my top clients, been with me a long time. She's amazing. Her name's Michelle Cunningham. We do a lot of her video editing. If you look at her brand, it's very girly, right? It's very pink. It's all about, she's exciting. She's like really animated. We call what we do for Michelle rainbows and unicorns. And when Michelle, who's very successful, she's got like 40,000 followers, something like that, 38,000 subscribers here. She's got as many followers on IG and Facebook. She refers a lot of clients to us. And when they come to us, they say, hey, I heard about you from Michelle Cunningham. And you do her videos. Can you do some for me? And I go, yeah, sure. And we call that the rainbow and unicorn package because Michelle likes to have a lot of rainbows and unicorns. So in her videos, sometimes we'll put graphics, pop-ups, motion captures of like little images of unicorns and rainbows, right? So that's what we're looking to do is figure out how to help her with her narrative. So that's really the second piece, right? So understanding how to do storytelling and then start figuring out the tools you need to help the client tell their story. Now, again, a lot of clients will hire you to edit videos and to do graphics and to do lead generation and manage social media. But if they don't have the why figured out behind it, you may have to help them if you want it to be successful. And it's really up to you because sometimes we can just go on with a client, no big deal. Sometimes we like somebody, we want to work with them. We want to make sure that they're successful. So we got to go a little above and beyond when it comes to the storytelling. All right, cool. So that was the first half, right? So I got another half coming in a couple days. It'll drop on the YouTube channel. If you haven't already done so, please check out our channel, Dan Meyer, or Dan Meyer, virtual staffing expert in the Philippines. It's pronounced Meyer. And subscribe to our channel. If you haven't done so, please do. If you have, thank you very much. I'll be back again in part 2 shortly with understanding business narratives.